Alright, wait, intro time. Welcome back, and I'm glad if you're watching this, I'm so glad you're actually sticking around for the submarine series. I know it's long and boring, but just join me in the wonderful world of constant diesel submarines. So today we're going to be doing the same day. In fact, the previous video is still uploading. I know, you feel lied to. It's like weird. It's like people like you record 3 videos in a row and it's like, alright, next day. But yeah, we're gonna be building in some of the framework and just laying out where stuff is gonna go. Because this can be a bit intimidating, looking at this interior and being like, alright, put a room here. You're like, what? So you've gotta figure out what you're doing here. So I'm just gonna play some more music while I do this. Hope it doesn't bother anybody really. So first we've got this like groove here, and I want you to be able to stand at full height all the way to this level. So we're going to grab our door, because this is what I use as a standard for human height. I get a door, put it down here, then I take this, I give it one extra room. In this case I'll, I actually want to give it a little bit, because this will be probably the only cabin. So this will be the floor of our cabin room here, and our cabin should be at the front. Because a really important part of submarine design is you need, and this is stormwork submarine design, so take this all with a grain of salt when you start thinking about real submarining. But for me, we anticipate our submarines getting damaged a lot. And so at the front of the boat, we don't want anything too important. Now, if you really want a really hard-to-kill submarine, what you would do is put a double hull. But we cannot afford to spend that much room. So we're doing a single hull, and we're going to put our cabin at the front here. And no critical components are going to go here, really. A ballast tank, maybe. You might have a ballast tank and some fuel that runs around in the front. But we need to anticipate that it's going to take a serious amount of damage, you know. It's one of those hot spots in submarines that people always nose down into the ground. Whereas the rear is a much safer place. This is where most of our critical computing and logic will be handled. Batteries, engine, everything goes at the back, really. Because as you go further back on a submarine, you're a lot safer. And you notice it's a lot of stuff here that makes it very inconvenient for a cabin. So our actual interior is probably going to stop at around here. Actually, where is our con tower? Con tower is way back there. So we're going to make a skinny hallway from here. So actually to do that, this is not what I meant to do. I did the dead opposite. Okay, so we're going to do that, and then we're going to remove 3 blocks, because we do need a lot of room. Move 3 blocks like that. This would go back like this. And is this beneath our con tower? Directly beneath it. Alright. We'll go back a little further now. Okay, now just draw this all the way up to the top. Alright, you see this here now? This is our cabin area. Now, of course, this is all messy, and you're like, I don't like that. Now, there's 2 options. 1, we smooth it out, or 2, we don't use that as cabin room. Now, if we didn't use it as cabin room, we'd be wasting space, because we can't really fit anything but fuel there. Now, fuel would be going on the bottom half, where it's all like this, but we can't put it near the top without making the balance wrong, making it unstable. So really, we only have 1 option in this scenario, which is we've got to smooth this out, make it look nice. It'll just be an angled wall in the sub. Big thing to consider here, though, is when you do this, you run the risk of people putting their head against it, and it goes through the sub, and they take damage. So you gotta be very careful with how you do these. But usually, depending on how they're set up, you can fix it if that happens to be a big problem for you. Let me switch the song. No, that's good enough. Alright, so we'll just smooth this out at the moment. Let's make it look kind of nice. Oh yeah, if you're wondering about the songs that you hear playing in the background, the first video we had some from Far Cry 5. I don't actually play the game, I just like the soundtrack. And then this video I've got some Queens of the Stone Age on right now. So, it's just what's playing. Okay. Alright, like that. So you see now, it looked very intimidating and kind of awful and ugly at first, but now that we're matching the exterior on the interior, and you know what this is, right? This is a double hole. Now, actually, a proper double hole. This isn't a very effective one because even though it's 2 layers thick, the damage still goes through. An effective double hole would actually have a gap between them to allow the damage to not travel through. So we're going to leave this empty just for now because we might be using this for piping, this gap here in the side. It's always really good to have a gap like that because you could need to run a bilge pump that actually goes all the way to the front. And to have something like that, 2 of some things like that, it's going to be very useful in the future, I think. Because if you cover it in and fill it up, you might forget it's there. See, now this looks a lot more habitable for people to be in and chilling out. And this is what I did for the other submarine too. Alright, like that. See what I did there? Kind of drew it back. Did something kind of interesting. I don't know how I like it much yet. I think it looks kind of cool. Now, we've got a very much flat nose. On the other one I put window there, but I think we might just leave it alone. It's got a very like industrial steampunky look to it right now. I really like that with this curve here. I've never done this on a submarine before. This side curve on all these gives it a very nice definition to it. Let's work on this con tower. Do I want a window that big? Is there a... You know what I might have to use? I might have to use these. I want a good sized window. At the same time, I want it to look right, you know. Because, you know, some of these, they got very skinny windows. You can't see what's going on out there. And I'm not meaning to make a big window. But, you know, one of considerable size to see. Yeah, like that. You can see out on the deck. Because a lot of critical things that can happen here, depending on what your setup is. On the previous submarine, I had a big vehicle dock there, a vehicle connector. You could send fluids back and forth between vehicles, and you needed to manage that connection. That was all done in the con tower. And flares and things. Like all the deck stuff, I like to put in the con tower, rather than... Some people put a, oh, what's it called? Fly helm or whatever. Bridge helm. Dang, I can't remember what it is. They like to put that up there because it's normally, in some of the bigger ones, it's about the right size. Of course, in our situation, it isn't. But even if it was, I like to make one really good setup rather than two mediocres. And that's not saying that they're all bad, just saying that some of them are not as good as they could be if they were just one. So we got like this little shelf thing going on. I don't know how I feel about that. But I don't think I can avoid it unless of course I did something like... Ooh, now that actually might be a bit interesting. What if I did that? That's actually kind of cool. Yeah, and then we'll do... I want to leave this mostly open. Okay. That's really neat. So this is our cabin area. And then our drop down will be around here. And then we'll work on this more in another video. So this is the basic layout for our cabin built out here. And our drop down from our thing up here. So now let's worry about the rest of the subs. So you notice we've got a ton of room to work with. But as we get to doing this, you realize we need all of it. So to begin with, considerable amount of room. Now this may not be the most efficient way to store the fuel, but it's actually much more efficient when you consider that it serves two purposes, storing it this way. The first one is it stores our fuel. The second is it balances our boat, because fuel is pretty heavy and it's not buoyant at all. And so it'll put a good notch into us sitting right in the water. So that's a lot of fuel in here. This should be enough to keep our boat nice and good. So now we've already cut out a shit ton of our space. But we still got enough. We've got a ton of space, right? And you're like, sir, we'll never use this. But you freaking wait. We will fill every bit of it. So, again, I don't know why. In the first video, I was like, oh, guys, we're going to do this itty-bitty submarine. I was like, called chickening out. And then I'm like, I built the hull, and I'm like, wow, this looks good. I'm going all the way. We're building another fully dieseled out submarine. I'm going to be like making it work good and everything. So, yeah. Air. So, our air tanks are going to be, again, tanks also need to be around the bottom. Now, you're thinking right now, they're full of exhaust and air. They're like, wait, put them at the top. Don't do that. Because a thing that I've actually used in the past is they don't register it when they're full or they're empty. It doesn't make a difference. They always weigh the same amount as if they were full. And so you want to assume that they were always full of water. So that's why they will be going around the middle bottom. And another big thing is color your tanks. If you accidentally make one wrong connection, you can screw your whole entire submarine up. And these are something that takes so long. Don't screw it up. So we will be doing probably air along the bottom, and then we could do, yeah, I want to make it symmetry. So I'll do air here at this front nose here, then exhaust running up and down these side walls here, and then some back here. So I just want to figure out the best way to put these in. I might avoid going right at the nose. So I don't want my... That point right there is my big crush point. So whatever goes there is going to be pretty much unnecessary things that are useful but not critical. So that's like about, it's not enough. Hold on, we're getting about there. That looks about right for our air. Now let's switch over to our exhaust. So the idea for these is the exhaust piping is not going to touch the air at all. So that's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is 8 air, and we'll have 8 exhaust. Now, that's good and all, but we might need a few more exhaust than we have air, potentially. I'm not sure exactly what we need in the means of that, but we'll start 1 to 1, and we'll leave some room for more. So that's that, you think. But now I gotta go and make them all air. This doesn't actually take that long. Just make them all empty. See, it's already 1 row done. Sorry, I'm doing stuff on my phone as I'm doing this. But I also kind of got to pay attention to this simultaneously, because if I get 1 tank wrong, then I've got to go back and recheck the whole group. Because you'll know, it could be, the worst thing is finishing the diesel sub and then starting it and there's something wrong and you don't know what's wrong. Because it could be anything. It could be you forgot to fill one of your tanks the right thing, you didn't connect something, you didn't hook up a pipe. You don't know. And checking all the systems takes like an hour once they're all done. So you want to be really diligent about getting every single connection correct. Because then hopefully, as long as you do everything solid, you won't have to worry about it. Hold on 1 second. I need to plug in my phone. The cable's right here. I don't have to leave. I just gotta plug it in. There we go. It's not gonna die now. Hold on, get some music. There we go. Alright, so that should be our tanks. Now, we should probably connect them, but we'll do the piping later. Again, this is just the layouts. So now we need batteries. Now, we don't really want to convolute these areas between the tanks much. Now, the air might have a little bit much room, but we'll try to leave that room alone. Now, I think I'll put a battery back here. Again, batteries need to be really low, and we don't want to get the biggest ones, because this is a diesel submarine. You just do as you do. I actually might. You know what we're going to do? 4 medium batteries is about what I think you need in diesel, because there are some moments when you actually do need to put some heavy strain on your batteries, and you don't want them to fall out on you. Now, you notice we've got these balanced out over the boat, because if your batteries get damaged, then you're just fucking dead. You're done. Less near the front, because you want to have them all ready to back each other up in case one of them goes out. That's batteries laid out now. Now we need to get our ports and stuff. So, there's many ways to do an intake. There's some cleaner ways and some, like, uglier ways. The one I want to try to do here is using the con tower actually as our intake. So all along this wall here and along the back, I'm going to have ports facing up an intake. It's going to limit our use of the con tower, but it's going to make the submarine look better overall. So we will do like, actually, more linear method. Can we go see, I'm just thinking. There's a few ways to do this. I could either do just a bunch of ports to one lead, but really that doesn't do anything. Adding a ton of ports. we have all the space we need here, but we need like at least 4 leads on each side going down, and 1 on the back. And then we need to do our exhaust, and our exhaust is easier. Exhaust will come out the sides near the rear. So we'll just be doing there. So I think we'll do grouping. So we'll do like 3 ports to 1 lead. By that I mean 1 filter setup, because filter them all separately, you know, so that. Actually, I don't like that. I want them to be facing forward. Yeah, that looks nice. Oh! Audibly face palms. There can't be any leads on the back. Ladder. Ladder. I'm really glad we didn't hook this up. My God, if I did, and then then it, like, maybe would have been a lot of trouble, and then I just had to get rid of it at the end because I needed ladder. So, what I mean by the 3 to a lead, we're gonna group these. So we need to cross. So we'll do like this. That. And then these 2 can be grouped as a group of 2. So kind of like this, and then we'll do, of course, we need all of our angles. So these are our groups of 3 that take in air, and then it'll be processed a little deeper down in the submarine. We'll need to filter out the water and open and shut them depending on whether or not we're surfaced. That was probably the hardest thing I had to do in my last submarine, was some of the computing for that. I think it was 3 AM last time I did that though, so I was really freaking lost in my own mind. So let's find a path before we just start dragging in our pipes. What I'd like to do is go through the walls here. Yep, right past the exhaust. And then right into, yes. Right there, right into our air territory. So we'll follow this path with all of our airlines. Oops. I don't want to invade our hallway. We're getting there. Slowly. This one's a bit different. Now we're near the rear. Is there any more? Yeah, these are the last grouping. Last grouping is going to have an easier time of it. They get to go right through this wall here. Luckily, we've still avoided ladder territory again. Ladder's going here. Let's actually define that real quick. So we don't want to obtrude. And honestly, I might make it so that we don't have any ladders, but I want to have them just taking up space so that we don't use that for something else. But likely, I'm going to use jump platforms because ladders are like tricky little things to get up sometimes, especially in submarines. You're rolling around and you're having an emergency, lights are flashing, and you're trying to climb this ladder, and you just can't get up because it's like that lip of the top. You can't get over it, you know. It's just dumb. Sometimes ladders just don't work. So it's always good to have like jumpy platforms. So we'll start right here with this pipe. Now I've been thinking about it. I might even actually no. I'm gonna do it. I'll be building the control console too. In this video series, because I want to make sure I do every part of it in the series. So There's not a single thing that hasn't been shown, because I have that trouble in some videos. Like, I'm trying to figure out how to do something, and they skip just the most important part that I need, because they're like, oh, everyone should know how to do that. And then I can never figure out what it is or how to do it. Oops. Ah, yeah, that's better. Doing to repeat the music. Make the video monotonous. I figured music was necessary for these. It's necessary for my own mental health, and I can't imagine watching these, just me silently building a complicated submarine. I mean, it's just painful enough to watch with music. But it's a good thing to do, like, you know, your background, you're just chilling out. It's like 3 a.m., you're tired, you don't know what to do. You're just bored. It's about right. That's about the moment where my videos can possibly come into play. Alright, so now we're going to grab our straight pipes. We're going to run them right up. Run them right up to these. See how I still left some room here in the walls. We can still put stuff in the con tower. It's not like I've completely disabled the walls for use. It's just I'm also using them, for the air. So then the air is coming down the sides of the hallway through the wall, and then it's coming out down here, which is really, really nice. Okay, there we go. Because this is where it can go. See, we've got tanks here now. We've got about 1 intake for every 2 tanks. Now, trouble is we might have gotten here a little bit preemptively. Luckily, we've got a lot of room here to work with it. But we'll get it to that next. Let's get the exhaust intakes ports put in. So we can either do the surface or below. Actually, it's probably better to do it on the deck here, because the less water over the ports, the faster they actually empty. So we'll do something like, that's way too much. Let's do slot ports. Slot port. Slot port. Slot port. Nope, can't fit that. Now, these might be enough slot ports, but I'm prepared to add more under the surface, but this will be what we use for the actual surface. Actually, you know what I could do? Like that, and then slot ports all the way. That looks pretty good. That'll be our exhaust. Now, it'll only drain when we're on the surface, so we'll have a designated exhaust and designated air that's separate from the actual intakes and exhausts that we have here. These are just for refilling the tanks. We'll have 1 exhaust and 1 air that does it when it's on the surface, and that'll work because it's not going through all the filtration. The surface exhaust and surface air aren't going to be filtered in any means, and they're not going to go through the tanks. And so it'll only need 1 or 2 things for that. So these are our exhausts. Exhausts over here. Exhaust doesn't take much stuff. It just needs a flow valve, pump, and some of that. What I like to do is have some prioritized exhausts. So starting here, we'll have maybe like the biggest pumped. So like that's probably about 6 pumps. Then 4, and then 2, and then just 1 pump. This is only gonna, so that depending on your depth, you can be pumping more or less, and it just kind of conserves some power. So as you dive deeper, you can have less range with your exhaust. But then if you're staying shallow often, you're gonna be 100% golden. Probably don't even need to worry about your exhaust. So then we've got batteries, we've got that, and then our logic is going to be stored around here on the walls of the submarine, kind of out of the way. It's a good place to have it here. Now, if we weren't going to do it there, if we wanted to be really safe. Now, I mean, really safe, I mean, some people would want their submarines to sink more than others. But if you really wanted to protect your logic, you might make a chassis that sits in the middle of your submarine, protecting it from megalodon bites. But even that might not do so much. Honestly, if you get bit, you get bit. You're probably not going to make it much further anyway, regardless of whether or not your logic's been hit. But if you have emergency logic that handles like emergency systems, you want to keep that in the center chassis right here, rather than pasting it on the wall as an extra shallow protection. Because if your logic busts there, then it's not going to work, of course. So you don't put your emergency stuff there. Because the megalodon has in the past bit near the back of your my submarine. Oh, I just remembered. We got to finish this video. I'm going to do the prop and the control surfaces. So we got our big old prop, and then we're gonna do. Let's do this. See, so I'm gonna make an angled base for my control surface to sit on. It looks nice. You notice how, even though it's slanted and all, there's always this ridge here. This is important for your submarine to have, very much so. If you don't have it, then your submarine's just not going to work well, because you need it to put these on. These fins need to sit on that. And so if you don't have that, you're going to be kind of screwed when it gets around time. Ooh, I like this song. Alright, now we just put on the control surface. Now, you're probably thinking right now, hold on a minute, you've only made room for your pitch. What about your roll? Well, I'm going to tell you, the roll, wow, dang. The roll and the pitch are going through the same surfaces. So, you will need an averager. That'll be another part, another video. So now, let's grab our selection grid again. I'm choosing this so I get it just right when I put it on the top. It's pretty necessary. Yeah, that's good. Alright, just attach these. Now we've got fins, a con tower, we've got our air and exhaust, and our propeller. And so this is pretty much the foundation laying, all of that stuff. We've laid it all in, we've got that all recorded, and I'm going to be posting this while I sleep for the first time in days. Welcome to quarantine and summer mixed together, and I'm already like lost in time. I need to go outside. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope this is helping anybody that's wanting to build diesel submarine. Yeah.